Namaste, guys. ChristianRLong, life enhancement consultant, giving you big and beautiful shout out on this Saturday evening. It's about 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time here in Denver, Colorado. Just finished taking a much needed salt bath, cleansing the energy body, doing some planning for this coming week, picking my brain. Elizabeth, Namaste, picking my brain, going deep into my consciousness. Paula, Namaste, I will respond to you, I promise. Pedro, Namaste. Ashley, Namaste. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Ivani, Namaste. It is hot here in Denver. It wasn't so hot yesterday, which was nice, but it's been in the 90s for about a week or so. Yesterday wasn't so hot. It got hot again today, but we're winding down. We're closer to the evening, and everything's getting cool and dry and relaxed. So just jumping on, giving a quick shout out. It's funny, my dad used to say this when I was little. You know how like every family member has catchphrases or things that they say on a regular basis, and you just identify that catchphrase with that person. My dad used to say, my dad had a lot of catchphrases. I think that's where I get a lot of my catchphrases from. Stephen, Namaste. He said, he would say, is it hot in here or is it just me? And the funny thing is, when I was very young, I took that literally. Literally, he's asking the question, is it hot in here, temperature-wise, or am I the only one that's physically hot in this space? And then I got older, and I realized, oh, he's joking. He's asking, is it hot in here, or is it just me? Am I the only person that's hot and attractive in this room right now? And then as I got even older, I had no idea what my dad was talking about. I don't know if he was making a joke or he was making a literal statement or a literal question. So my dad was full of those kinds of expressions. So if you guys have funny expressions that you grew up as a kid listening to your parents say, siblings, younger or older siblings, maybe an aunt or uncle, that they have these weird catchphrases, by all means, throw it in the comment section below. Love to read it, and if you want to throw in a little background story as well, that would be fun to mix it up. So Steven says it's only in the 80s outside, although inside it's it's 110 degrees inside. That's why I say stay only a bit. On laptop, cell broke. I can be in the house about 15 minutes, then I have to go outside and cool off. Good Lord, man. 110 degrees in the house? So I guess you're going to be sleeping outside tonight in order not to deal with that. I got my LaCroix here. Ready to rock it out as always. The berry flavor. I swear LaCroix should be giving me some kind of kickback or referral fee or something for all the promotions I've been doing for them over the years. An entire house of south-facing windows, 2-story. It is wonderful in the winter, no shade, so now, yes, well over 110. Good Lord. Not today, Goose, maybe tomorrow. Not today, Goose. Oh, not today, Goose, maybe tomorrow. So that was one of the little catchphrases that you had growing up as a little girl. Not today, Goose, maybe tomorrow. I like that. What else you guys got? Throw out some other comments. Hurry up, Namaste. Throw out some other comments, phrases, sayings, euphemisms, cliches that your family would say as you were growing up. Another one would be, what do you think I am, made of money? Money doesn't grow on trees. What do you want me to do? Crawl across the cupboards? Because my dad, where we were living at the time in Leominster, Massachusetts, we lived in this duplex, which actually was a pretty big duplex, considering on one side of the duplex, an entire family, a big family, was living there, and then on the other side was 4 men living there, and it worked. But it was 2-story duplex, and the stairs squeaked. My dad was a very slow walker, and basically he would come up the stairs, walk up the stairs, and it was only like 5 steps, but he was making so much noise that we're like, Dad, we're trying to watch the show. Dad, we're trying to watch this movie, right? When it was like, if you watch the movie on the TV and you miss that scene, there's no rewinding, there's no TiVoing, there's no replay of any kind. You missed it. You missed the scene. And so we'd always get on my dad's case. Dad, what are you doing? can't you be more quiet when you walk up the stairs? He's like, what do you want me to do? Crawl across the cupboards? Oh, God, it was so funny. My dad had so many expressions. Steven says an entire house of... Wait a minute. You already said that. Thermal properties of the house. Thermal properties of the house. That's a big expression. I'm trying to think some other phrases my dad had. He had a lot of weird expressions. My dad used to be a corrections officer for a minimum and at one point a maximum security prison in Massachusetts. So he was like the guard that would go from door to door to door, check, make sure the inmates are there, log it on in the book, etc. So he did that for many, many years. Great energy to bring home. And he would say, God, what were some of his expressions? I literally had that story and it just completely got sucked out of my consciousness. Oh well, if I'm supposed to remember it, I will. But he had a lot of catchphrases. That's why it wasn't a catchphrase, it was actually a story. So, in the, what would you call it? In the employee workroom at my dad's office, or at my dad's minimum security prison, they had a board. And the board had the name of this chicken place called Mr. Chickens. And it had no kick in the can. Another good one. No kick in the can. Does that mean no passing the buck? So it would say Mr. Chicken, and then it would have the phone number, so people, when they were working on shift, they could call in and get a chicken sandwich, they could get chicken parmesan, they could get a pasta with chicken, whatever it was that they were getting related to chicken, right? Okay, no pass the buck. The buck stops here, Harry Truman. And so anyways, one day, my dad really didn't get along with the superintendent of the security prison that he was part of, that he worked at. And so people would call this number to order chicken at all hours of the night. So one day, my dad just erased the real number to call Mr. Chicken and replaced it with the home number of the superintendent. And so throughout the night, and for some reason nobody bothered to change the number, throughout the night people were calling the superintendent and waking him up at midnight, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning for the purpose for the purpose of ordering chicken. So that was like his little way of getting back. Weird that my dad had a hard time getting promoted within the prison system. Who'd have knew? So that really wasn't a catchphrase, but he did like to say, he liked to mess up restaurants too. That was the thing that he did for a long time. So there are franchises, fast food franchises and restaurants that were in the 60s and 70s that were no longer in the 80s and 90s. The places went out of business, or they were national and then they just became regional, right? Because they closed down a bunch of stores. But my dad would remember those restaurants, and it was super funny when he would be like, like instead of Boston Market, when Boston Market was named Boston Market, he would call it Boston Chicken. He would call Burger King Burger Queen. He would call instead of McDonald's, McDougal's, which is actually from a movie, which he never saw, which I thought was kind of weird. My dad would just mix up names of places, and we're always like, where does he want us to go? Does he want us to go to Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's? Because he said like 3 different places and mashed them all into one. So do we just like throw the names into a hat, pull it out of the hat, and that's the place we're going to get food for the night? Like, what's the deal? Steven says, each time I comment, Facebook says it violates community standards. They say when I type to you, it's hate speech, nudity are similar. No way. Really? God, Facebook really is cracking down. Interesting. You guys can say anything and everything that you want. I give you complete and utter permission to say whatever you want in spite of what Facebook thinks you should or should not say. That's called policing speech, which is a very dangerous thing to start doing. And it's interesting. I remember because Facebook's algorithms have changed, I realized that back in the day when I used to do live streams, 400, 500, 600 or more views, and now we're averaging, say, 200 to 250 views within 2 days of the video being released. So, I did a video yesterday, and I know a bunch of people were on, and a bunch of people commented, and it said I had zero views. Isn't that weird? It said I had 0 views. So, don't quite understand it. Don't quite get why Facebook is doing that. Steven says, yes, it is. Let's test. I say, ChristianRLong is a wonderful person. Let's see what happens. I'll try to take a picture. Yeah. Perfect. Giove, am I saying it right? Giove? Givier? I haven't seen that spelling before, so I don't quite know how to pronounce your name. But welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you get some value out of this. We talk about energy healing, meditation, and practical spirituality. But today, because it's super hot in Denver, I'm coming up with hot cliches and hot sayings my dad used to say when I was growing up. And feel free to throw your own cliche or funny statement into the kitty, and let's see what we can make happen. What else? What else? I could come up with some very interesting topics. One does come to mind. This just recently happened, within the past couple hours. And as you guys know, most of you know, I've been a professional energy healer for about 15 years, and the modality that I've been practicing is called pranic healing. And it's interesting because we go to healers, we go to psychics, we go to mediums for the purpose of getting clarity, for the purpose of getting healing, to remove negative thoughts, negative emotions that are keeping us stuck and preventing us from moving forward. And we also want to have clarity to make sure we're moving forward in the right direction. And one of the most important qualities that we can develop on the spiritual path is discernment. Because if one does not practice discernment, one can be fooled, tricked, persuaded, conned, influenced in maybe a way that is not so positive for them. So discernment means to judge something correctly. So if you meet with a psychic, a medium, a clairvoyant, a healer, or what have you, and the person says, oh, your great-great-grandfather is standing behind you in the etheric plane telling you to do this or not do this. Sparrow, Atma Namaste. Avani, Atma Namaste, you said, let me cover this real quick. My dad had a hard time with color, so whenever he wants us to fetch an object or his clothes, he says, get that red color thing. So it's up to our imagination and the direction he is pointing to guess what he wants. Rest of the objects are plaster of Paris. Rest of the objects are plaster of Paris? So everything else is irrelevant? That's kind of funny. Wouldn't it be funny if he had red shoes, red socks, red shirts, red pants. He just really enjoyed the color red, and it was scattered all over the place. And he said, "Give me that red color thing." And you're like, "Which one is he talking about?" Christian, Atma Namaste. So that clairvoyant could be saying, "Hey, your great-great-grandfather is right behind you, and he has a message for you. And the message is whatever. The message is you need to quit your job. The message is you need to move to another country. The message is you need to sell all your belongings or you need to get rid of all your belongings and give them to me. You need to go to your bank account, take out $5,000 and deposit it into my bank account," right? All these different things that people say. And if the person lacks discernment and they lack clarity, guess what? They're going to be easily persuaded into what to do or what not to do, right? That might not be in their best interest. So I remember one of the Master Pranic Healers recently said at a retreat that when somebody says something to you, you have to ask yourself the question, does it make sense? Does it make sense? So, going back to the example of a clairvoyant telling you that your great-great-great-grandfather told you to sell all of your possessions and move to Belize, Ted Miller, Atma Namaste. Does that make sense? I don't know anyone in Belize. I have no affinity for Belize. I've never thought about going to Belize. I don't like the weather of Belize. All of these things make sense, and they go contrary to what the psychic or medium told you about moving to Belize, selling all of your possessions and moving to Belize. Does that make sense? So one has to practice discernment. Even though I do my very best to provide you guys with high quality information that's entertaining, that's empowering, that's, informative, I'm not perfect and I make mistakes all the time. So some of the information I could be giving you might not be the best information for you at that time in your life. So you have to practice discernment. You have to say, well, is what he is saying, does it apply to me? Does it make sense? And what are the pluses and minuses of following that advice or not following that advice? So for instance, I could say, hey guys, if you practice, here's a screenshot, send it to me, man. If you practice the Twin Hearts meditation every day for a week, you're going to have more inner peace, happiness, and joy, right? That's my promise to you. So what I would recommend is go, well, does that make sense? How long is the meditation? It's only 20 minutes long. I have 20 minutes every day that I waste on Netflix, I waste on YouTube, I waste on social media. Okay, I can dedicate 20 minutes to find out if this provides me inner peace, happiness, and joy. So you practice the Twin Hearts meditation. Namaste. You practice the Twin Hearts meditation one time and you experience inner peace, happiness, and joy. So you start moving in that direction. Or you practice the Twin Hearts meditation one time and you feel irritable, you feel angry, you feel frustrated, you feel like completely just not good at all. Now the likelihood of you continuing on that path is unlikely. Does that make sense? But what was the simple instruction? Practice the Twin Hearts meditation every day for 7 days. So you're going, all right, maybe I'm jumping the gun, maybe I'm prematurely judging this. Let me take a step back. Let me practice it one more time, right? Let me practice it one more time. So you sit down, you do the Twin Hearts meditation for the second day, and then instead of feeling anger, resentment, and frustration, you feel a little bit lighter. You feel a little bit more joy, a little bit more happiness. Not overflowing, but you feel a little bit better. And then you practice it for the third day, the fourth day, the fifth day, sixth day, and the seventh day, you have the most joy, the most bliss, and the most happiness that you could have imagined experiencing, right? So you were able to practice discernment. What I said made sense. You practice it. The feedback that you were getting was positive, and then you keep moving forward. But when people tell you not to do something or to do something, you have to ask yourself the question, does that make sense? Right? Does that make sense? So for instance, if you are in a physically abusive relationship and the person says to you, you're meeting with a psychic, a healer, a mentor, or what have you, and you're in a physically abusive relationship and the person says, oh, well, the reason you're being physically abused is because that's your karma and you just have to work through it. You're like, okay, Sean, namaste. You go, all right, it's 65 here. Yeah, it's definitely not 65 here. So you say to yourself, okay, does that make sense? Is it my karma? Okay, I mean, if I cause injury to other people, injury is going to be caused to me. Okay. But what about healthy self-interest? What about healthy boundaries? What about self-respect? True, that's happening to me with this abusive partner, but I don't have to put myself in the position to be treated poorly and to be abused. Make sense? So that's more logical than person saying, well, you deserve this suffering, you're paying off negative karma, and just stay in the abusive relationship. That wouldn't make very much sense, right? So discernment. So Stephen says, let's see if our other posts will show screenshot other profile picture had you, but you could not see it. Interesting. Yeah, you have a no profile picture on this one. Jerry Atman, namaste. So is that making sense to you guys? I know we started the stream off with the temperature and funny cliches and sayings you had growing up as a kid with your family. And then we kind of transitioned it into practicing discernment on the spiritual path, which is super, super important. Because if you don't practice discernment, you're going to be swayed by the agendas, the motives, the whatever from other people. And here's something super, super, super important. I want you to get out a pen and paper and write this down or even tattoo it on your forehead. Kate, Atman Namaste. This is super, super, super important. When it comes to, Diana, Atman Namaste, when it comes to advice, when it comes to counseling, mentoring, or advising other people, I want you as the person who is receiving the feedback, I want you as the other person to recognize that the person who is giving you the advice, one, is partially karmically responsible if you take that advice or not, right? So if they tell you to do something and you do what they tell you to do, part of the karma is connected to them. Number two, ask yourself the question. Remember we talked about, does this make sense? Ask yourself the question, if I succeed, does this person get any upside? And if I fail, does this person get any downside? This is super, super important. If I succeed, does this person get any upside? And if I fail, does this person get any downside? What do I mean by that? If you meet with someone and they tell you about a relationship, or you tell them about a relationship, and they say you should not be in that relationship, if you get out of that relationship and you realize it was the biggest mistake of your life to get out of that relationship, are they going to be affected by that? Probably not, right? There's really, so there's no downside. There's no downside for them if you end the relationship. And then if you stay in that relationship, because they suggest, hey, you should stay in that relationship, and there's no upside potential, then what's their motive? What's their agenda? So the point I'm making is, if if the person who is giving you advice has a dog in the fight, they're going to be much more careful with the information that they give you, with the advice or counsel that they give you. Does that make sense? So let's use financial. Maybe relationship was a little bit too hard and mysterious. So let's say you meet with somebody who is in the financial markets. They're an investor. And they come to you and they say, okay, there's this new hot stock that I recommend that you put all of your, Ron, I'm a namaste. I recommend that you put all of your money into. It's a great stock. It's guaranteed to go up. You're going to make, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. You just have to trust me and have faith in taking $5,000, $10,000, $50,000 and putting it into this stock. Real simple way to validate that. How much of your own money have you put into that stock? That's it. That's how you validate it. How much of your money have you put into that stock? Because now I can trust you, because now I know you've done enough research to put your own money in the game. So relating that to advice, counseling, mentorship that people receive from other people, if they're not affected by the outcome of their advice with you, you might want to be careful of what advice you take with them. Does that make sense? I tried to make that as clear as I possibly could. It's not a very subtle point. It's a pretty obvious point. But and the interesting thing about friends and family members, more so family members giving us advice or giving us counsel, is that our family members and close friends have preconceived ideas of who we are. They know our strengths, they know our weaknesses, they know our limitations, they know our blind spots in general, right? So they're going to project those things onto us, which clouds their ability to give us accurate judgment. But they are partially tied to something working out for us or something not working out for us. As their family member and friend, if we succeed, they get to share in that success. If we fail, they share in that failure, right? But if your advice is tied directly to the outcome of that person, you're going to be like, if I get 10%, let's say you're a sales coach or a sales mentor, and you go, all right, this is how we're going to structure our coaching prices. Whatever, while we're working together, I get 10% of every deal that you close while we work together. Do you think that sales coach is going to give the very best advice they possibly can for that person? Absolutely, because their success is tied to the other person's success. But if the person is just making money like a flat fee, there's no built-in incentive. Is this making sense? Hold on, we got a lot of comments. Everyone relax. You guys are all worked up. 31-day practice of Twin Hearts meditation up to date. 24 days. I feel wonderful working for 31 and keep on it. Highly recommend it. Yes. Good job, Jimena. It's nice work. Not a lot of people can say they've done that every day for this month. Deanna says, oh my God, that's why when I talk with this amazing friend, he advises, his advice are no advice but questions, and more questions like talking with Socrates. Yes, exactly. I see the picture from the profile. Let's see if this comment also violates. So it's better to seek advice from someone who doesn't know us at all, since family and friends already have a bias. Yes. So going to what Deanna says, a better way to work with someone, instead of counseling them and mentoring them, and there are always exceptions to the rule, but it's better to ask questions than it is to tell somebody what to do, because our natural inclination is to resist change and to resist something that is different. We fight it. And if someone tells us what to do, we go, well, wait a minute. That person told me what to do, and I did it, and it didn't work out. It's their fault. So we don't take personal responsibility. We never own it. We never integrate it into our lives. But if somebody asks us a series of questions, digging deeper into our psyche, to our motives as to why we do what we do, then guess what? We own it. We take responsibility for it, and we're able to transform our lives permanently because of it, by asking questions. A good coach will ask questions. A good coach will not tell somebody what to do. So there's a tendency within the psychic community, within the mediumship community, within the alternative healing community, to tell people what to do versus asking them qualifying questions that lead the person to their own answer. So, to what Sean says, so it's better to seek advice from someone who doesn't know us well. In general, yes. Because that person has a level of objectivity that the friends or the family members don't have. Because let's say your friends and family members always buy your stories. They're like, you know what? You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're right. You're right. So you have around you a bunch of yes men and yes women who support you staying stuck, who support you staying in a rut. For instance, let's say you're in a relationship and you're the man and you're not in the best shape of your life, and then you're with a partner who goes, you know what, honey? I love you exactly the way you are. Don't change. Don't ever change. Have you guys ever heard that before? Don't ever change. Now, from where I come from, my viewpoint on life, that's a horrible thing to say. Don't ever change. Don't ever become better, brighter, smarter, fitter, sexier, more spiritual, more prosperous. What are you talking about? Don't ever change. That's a crazy thing to say. So that would be an example of that person is keeping you stuck. That person is keeping you in a rut. I like to surround myself with people who are constantly doing this. Push, 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 push. Go, 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 go. Become better and better and better and better. More importantly, not through them telling me to become better. Like, you need to work out more. You need to earn more money. You need to do whatever, whatever, whatever. But they are an embodiment. Krishna, namaste. They are an embodiment of what they are recommending. They are an example. Those people, far more powerful. Those people, far more influential. There's an old saying, do as I say, not as I do. Flip that around. Flip that around. Do as I do. Do as I do. So I've done my best when I work with clients, and I tell them through our coaching process, I ask questions, they come to the obvious answer, the obvious conclusion, and then from that, I say, okay, do this, this, and this, because I've done this, this, and this. It's produced results for me. It's produced results for other clients. It's produced results for other disciples on the path of pranic healing and arhatic yoga. So it works. right? As opposed to, I've never done it. I've never invested $5,000 of my own money into something, but I'm going to ask you to invest $5,000 of your money into something. Does that make sense? So I hope that helps. I hope that's clear. Discernment, 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 discernment. Become a better person. So that being said, if I can assist you, which I can, on your path to becoming a better person and a better soul, go to ChristianRLong.com, sign up for a consultation, sign up for a healing, whichever is appropriate for you at this time. If you sign up for a session, 30 minutes of coaching, asking you qualifying, clarifying questions to lead you to your own conclusion, and then we do healing connected to the very thing that we uncovered. Does that make sense? So that's it, guys. Lots of light, love, and power from God and my teacher, Grandmaster Cholo Koksui, into your lives on this beautiful Saturday evening here in Denver, Colorado. And catch us tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Mountain Time, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Mountain Time. One more time, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Mountain Time for the 30 minutes of group Twin Hearts meditation and 30 minutes of healing. And that's going to be a Zoom link. You just send me a private message and say, hey, I want to become part of that meditation tomorrow at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. What do? I send you the link and you log in 5 minutes before we start the event. Super duper duper easy. Love you guys. This is Christian Long, Life Enhancement Consultant, wishing you a beautiful day/evening, a beautiful week, and a beautiful life. You're welcome, Deanna. I'm a namaste, Jennifer. You're late to the party, girl. Enjoy the video. Enjoy the replay. Love you guys. Atma. Namaste. Bye-bye.